Before we show an example of roles-based provisioning using a static role, now we're going to do the same with a dynamic role. And what do we mean by that? Well, if we look at in the console here at the users, what we want to do is that we want to state that whoever has a particular attribute in the LDAP definition that item keeps, we want to give that person some specific accesses. So this is going to be done dynamically. So if I get that thing in the LDAP, and we're going to see that in this particular case is going to be a title as an executive, I automatically get all those access. I get that LDAP entry change in my system, I lose those access. That is done dynamically, and therefore the name of the type of provisioning. So if we look for a particular user, Mr. Powers, and we look at his LDAP information, here's the first part. In the business section, there's a section called title, and he has an entry called executive. So what we want to do is that anyone who has that entry is going to automatically get some access. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we're going to create a dynamic role for that. So we go here into manage role, and again, in item, the rule is no coding. Everything got to be out of the box. So we're going to create a role. It's going to be a dynamic role, as we said. We're going to call it plant executive. Executive. We can put a description here. We can add a role classification. Let's say that that's a business role. And we enable access, and we could specify an owner as we did on the static role, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so anyone who automatically get that, there's not going to be any workflow of approval for that. So we click next, and that's all we have to do basically here, except for the fact that we need to specify what is the rule in the LDAP. What is it going to be looking in the LDAP to actually do that? And it's as simple as saying, well, anyone who has a title attribute equals to executive is going to get this particular role. So we click next, and we say that this is going to be scheduled immediately. And if we look at the request, this is going to take a little while to actually be processed, because it's going to look into all the users in the LDAP, look who has that that entry, and it's going to assign the role. So while the system does that, let's go and create the provisioning policy that is going to go that is going to play along with that. And we're going to give this plant executive name, and as before, they were applicable to all the business unit. The policy is enable, and we're going to say who's going to get that. Well, people who have a role, and we're going to search for the role that we just created, which is plant executive. We click OK. And what entitlements are we going to give that person? And again, we're going to do as before. We're going to make that automatic, and we're going to make it for one specific service, and we're going to select again the BOO LDAP. BOO LDAP, here it is. We click OK. And that's all we have to do. We submit this, make it immediately, and we look at the request that we have, and we see that still looking at the dynamic role has been added. We had added the provisioning policy, which the system is processing right now, and as soon as that finish processing all the users, we are going to see that Mr. Powers is going to get access to that BO LDAP. We look at Mr. Powers here. We see that in the accesses that he has, we look at view access, he had that plan executive role. How he got that? Automatically, because he got that entry in the LDAP. Now, as soon as the provisioning policy finish acting, we're going to see that he's going to get access to the BO LDAP, and obviously it just finished because he just got that. So if he gets that title removed from the LDAP, boom, he loses this BO LDAP. And so this is an example of dynamic role in ITIM. Again, no coding, everything out of the box.